It's Movie Buff. We're back again. We just got out of Venom. I loved it.
It was good.
It was good. Okay, so
it wasn't as bad as everyone
this movie is
predicted it.
Yeah, this movie's getting shit on. Like, I mean, okay, so the biggest things, like, I listen to other podcasts, and obviously some of the bigger names in the business were like, you know, Sony's hiding this movie so these bad reviews don't get out. They do not think that people are going to like this, and they don't want these bad reviews to get out. So they basically held all the reviews until, like, not 24 hours before it opened, but it was like 48 hours. It was really, really close. It was
the embargo.
Yeah, and so no one can talk about it until that embargo is up. And so everyone was like super worried that this movie's gonna suck. And I was hearing lots of bad things. I was hearing
a 30% score on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty terrible. But it has an 89% for a audience views.
And I mean, so the biggest thing with this Venom movie is because, like, if they can have a sustainable universe with Venom and Morpheus and all these other characters that aren't necessarily being used by Marvel right now, they will probably leave Spider-Man in the MCU. Which, you know, you can't really have Spider-Man without Venom. I do think at some point they are going to make them cross, and that's.
But this movie isn't about Spider-Man; it's about Venom.
It has nothing to do, but it's the same world. Like, everyone was like, you can't have Venom without Spider-Man. Well, this movie proves you can. Venom is pretty much just like in the comics. Eddie Brock, he's a reporter.
Who's played by Tom Hardy, who is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, great performance by Tom Hardy. A lot of people were comparing him to
Christopher Walken. I think he sounds, if he's going to sound like anyone, he's going to sound like, he said Christopher Walken, I said Joe Pesci.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see either one. I mean, he's from New York, obviously, you know.
No,
so
he's from New York, but it's based in San Francisco.
Yeah, so what, and he even says, I was in New York for a little while, kind of a wink to fans of Eddie Brock knows that's where he comes from in the comics. There's a lot of little winks. Obviously, at the end of the movie, I'm sure that everybody knows there's post-credit scenes.
Okay, that's not what you should say in a review, because then it ruins it for the people.
I would just say the post-credit scene.
After they play Venom by Eminem, just stay and watch, because there's two, not just one.
Yeah, there's two.
But obviously the first one is the better one, and that's all he's going to say, because he's going to ruin it for everybody.
I'm not going to ruin it. All I'm going to say is,
it's good.
If you're a Marvel fan, it will mean a lot more to you than just your average normal day person. That's all I'm going to say. Stay for the credits, though. Okay, so let's get into the movie. Like I said, Eddie Brock, he's a reporter, but he's more, instead of like back in the comics, he's a journalist, or no, he's more of like a web producer. In the first
Spider-Man, he seemed like kind of like a loser, nerdy.
Which he kind of is.
He's a loser, but he is not. They made Tom Hardy not some like nerdy weirdo like they did back in the day.
Right. No, I mean he was definitely a pretty true to the light, you know, comic in a way, you know. They had a lot of liberties. Obviously, he doesn't have the spider on his chest, but he does have like the white veins running through him, so he gets the kind of the same look. The body count in this movie is pretty high. I mean, it is PG-13, and that's what a lot of people was upset about because they wanted R. It would have been way better.
It's a family movie,
we get it. We get it. That's why it made $80 million, is because kids get to go watch it.
You know, I think it is a little, in a sense, not vulgar, but not necessarily for little kids. There was little kids in this movie theater, which I was like, they're probably have no idea what's going on.
It's a PG-13. I mean,
true,
you know,
but still.
There's no gore, there's no sex, and there's no cussing. So, I mean, there's no gratuitous blood. In my opinion, I would have loved to see this movie in a rated R version. Kind of like a Logan, like you see the blood splatter and stuff. That would have made a ton of difference, which I do think maybe in future installments they might go hard R for some of the other characters that I'm not going to talk about. But no, the body count was pretty high. This movie needed to make like $60 million to be a success. It's made 80, so we're getting to number 2, number 3. Tom Hardy's already signed on for a trilogy, so we're gonna get more of these, which I'm happy about. I personally thought it was a lot of comedic.
It was dry.
Yeah, I mean, and you can tell he did have a dry humor. Like Eddie Brock in the movie has a dry sense of humor.
But there's parts where I think that Tom Hardy is necessarily such a good actor that he makes it serious but can also be funny at the same time.
Yeah, it's pretty cool how Venom is in his head and he's talking to Tom Hardy, but nobody else can hear.
And vice versa.
Right.
Because when he's Venom, when he turns into Venom, Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock obviously is talking to Venom.
So
it's kind of a cool relationship because they always made him seem like he was the bad guy, and he is a bad guy in a sense, but he's not.
He's more of an anti-hero. If you want to call him.
You kind of are at the end of the movie cheering for Venom.
Oh, absolutely.
And their relationship, not like they always said in reviews that they're weird, have some weird relationship.
No,
it's like friendly, and it's like he loves Venom. He's attached to him basically.
And I will tell you I know a lot of people are saying there's like they make out.
It's not what you think.
It's not what you think. You need to go in with an open mind.
You have to actually watch it.
If you go in with an open mind, I really think you're going to enjoy Venom. It has a ton of action. Good action sequences. A lot of people are poo-pooing on the CG. I honestly thought it was pretty good CG. There's some times where the two symbiotes
they morph together.
You get a little bit lost, a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little like confusing.
But that's kind of like that's hard. You know what I mean? Like that would be hard to like. This is the first time anything has like a character like this has been on screen, so they're obviously learning, and I guarantee you the next installment they're going to get better and better and better. The production value is going to go up, the budgets are going to go up. This movie is making tons of money. People are loving it,
and we have a little special old man that makes an appearance.
Yes, finally. I mean, I was kind of wondering because of his health problems and stuff he's been going through, but Stanley does make his cameo, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty funny. Eminem's music video goes really, really good with this movie, and you'll see if you watch the video before you go into the movie, you'll be like, oh, okay,
makes
that's where they got exactly. Because you watch the video and you're like, it's cool, but it's kind of like, what the fuck is going on? And it basically explains it perfectly. But yeah, I mean, probably my favorite parts is when you finally get to see Venom. That's kind of like the reveal. It takes a little
bit for him to actually become Venom,
but when he does, it's definitely worth the wait. And he's a cool character, and he has a lot of Venom's comic abilities. Not all. He doesn't shoot web, obviously, but there is a kind of a nod that he can kind of reach out and like grip and stuff, and like. So I mean, there's a little bit of a nod to that, but the movie is basically about these symbiotes come out from outer space, just like in the comics.
Okay, well, he goes a little too into it, but
no, I'm not. I'm reviewing the movie. They come back out of the space or whatever, and these symbiotes, they need a perfect host. So until they find a host that they can like inhabit and like stay with, they move on to host and host. And so the big thing about Venom and Eddie Brock is they're a perfect match. And that's a key thing in the movie that you need to know, to understand, like, why is he not just doing, like, what he... I know this because I'm, comic savvy nerd, but I kind of filled her in, and that's kind of like, they don't really explain too much of it, so you kind of, they should have done a better job, like, building the comic lore, but they already had a big job to do, just basically his, kind of an origin story in a way. But yeah, man, the fight is cool at the end. It's not who you expect, but it is a cool character from the comics. It's not like a throwaway character. It was pretty neat. Yeah, you guys need to go check it out, man. It was cool. It's probably one of the funnest movies I've seen in a while. It's a superhero movie, but it's definitely different than the Marvels. So you can see that Sony has their own franchise building, and I'm kind of excited because Morpheus is next, and that's going to roll into a whole new universe. So y'all go check it out. Have anything else to say about it? Until next time, see you at the movies.